What's up, card family? Dustin A here. Welcome to another edition of Double D Card Talk. I know it's been a long time since we put out one of these. We're going to try to keep it rolling and try to get some more topics and put out some videos a little bit more regularly than we have been. But we've been busy, and this time around, the topic that we're going to discuss is sports card collecting as an investment. Can it be done? Can you make money off of sports cards? So let's get to it.
So DA, when you suggested this topic, I was really kind of excited to talk about it. I think it's a really interesting subject, and the concept of whether we can be investors and collectors at the same time. I think there is a lot of things that we can do that are good quality investments that you can make in the hobby. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a good idea to try and go about being a collector and an investor at the same time. It's really, I think, difficult to make that balance. And if you're going to do that, you've really got to be disciplined in making sure that you segment things, because it's just so easy to kind of blur those lines and cross things over as to what are my investments and what's just, my hobby that I'm doing here. But I do think that there are ways that it can be done, and I think it's an interesting topic to discuss some of the things and ways that you can invest here in the hobby. But curious, what your thoughts are on just the concept of being a collector versus an investor as well.
Well, really, and don't let my wife or any of our wives hear this, but if you're a collector, really what you are is a hoarder. You save things, you keep things, you collect things, you don't want to let them go. So it is very hard to distinguish that line from being a collector and an investor, and it is really tough to do both things. I think if you can be successful doing both, but in a way that you're not going to make any money. Your investment is going to feed your collection, if that makes sense. Like what you sell, what money you make, things you buy specifically to move, all that's going to do is feed your collection, and that's not going to, make you a lot of money, because you're just going to buy more things. And we're all collectors, or most of us in this community are collectors. We're not going to sell any of our personal collection, but you accumulate things over time that you don't really want, you don't really care for. It's not necessarily investing though, because a lot of times you're not making, even if you do sell, you're not making any money off of it. You're just trying to get rid of that excess stuff, especially if you open a new product. If you just buy singles, chances are you're not going to accumulate a lot of unwanted things. It can be done, but I think it's pretty close to impossible because of the nature of collecting and how you don't want to give things up, and that's just the way it is. Maybe there comes a point in time down the road where you're like, well, I'm kind of tired of doing all this. But at the time that you're collecting it, even if you sell your collection down the road, you're not really looking at it as an investment. At least I don't feel like most of us would be. Like you say, if you do it, really all you're going to do is your investment is going to feed your collection.
Some great thoughts there, DA. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and I know I wouldn't recommend anybody go out and make sports cards the cornerstone philosophy of their retirement strategy. I don't think that's probably a winning idea, but I certainly can see, the possibility that if you're serious about it, you're knowledgeable and you're educated and you make wise choices, that you can be an investor in the sports card market. And, things are limited there. And I would kind of consider it similar to a real estate investor in a lot of ways. A lot of real estate investing is spent scouting and looking for the right property to buy. And, the best real estate investors will tell you that they look at 10 to 20 properties to find one that's worth the right one to buy. And in a lot of ways, that's what it's got to be like as if you're investing in sports card collecting. You've got to find the right card at the right price to make that move on it. And it may take a long time for that right card to come around. That's another one of the limitations with this, is that the best cards to invest in my opinion, are going to be the ones that you're going to have to wait around a little bit for. Now, sometimes it may not be necessarily a rare card, but it can be a rare condition of that card. So let's say, an easy one to use is like the 52 mantle. Now, that's, getting out there in a little bit ridiculous numbers to consider, but let's sort this through. If you wanted to buy one and say, a high grade example, so, PSA 7, PSA 8, even at those grades, it's not like you can just say, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy one this weekend, and you're necessarily going to be able to find one. Now, if I wanted to say I wanted to buy any stock out there, I can pick up the phone and call a broker and place an order, and I can have that stock by Friday. Now, but with sports cards, it's a little bit different. You've got to, find somebody that's willing to sell it, and you've got to find one that makes sense as an investment piece. And I consider it kind of similar to being a real estate investor in a lot of ways. You're looking for property that you see that's going to appreciate in value and the properties that are going to appreciate the best and the fastest have the best features about them. And so, you're not just looking at a particular grade, you're trying to weigh in eye appeal that says, hey, this is at the top end for this particular grade, and you got to be trying to get it at a reasonable value, because you don't want to be buying at the top of the market, and paying. It doesn't make sense if you're doing it from an investment standpoint and you're saying, I'm going to buy this card in this grade, and so I spend the most amount of money that anybody's ever paid for that grade. It could still work out, later on down the road, but you're not setting yourself up for a great success there. In the same respect, I don't want to buy the lowest price that anybody's ever paid for that grade necessarily either, because chances are you're getting a card that has some flaws or poor eye appeal for that grade that's going to hold it back as far as appreciating in value. So, real estate guys, they'll tell you that they look at 10 or 20 properties to find one that they want to buy. And in a lot of ways, it's got to be the same way as a sports card investor. You've got to look at a lot of different cards, and you've got to find one that's got the right features and things that you're looking for, and at the right price point that makes sense to be an investment and not just something that you're adding to your collection.
Those are some great thoughts there, B-Side. I especially like your comparison of card collecting to the real estate. I think you could also compare it to commodities markets. Everything is based on supply and demand. And the difference with card collecting is the supply is never going to change. The demand's going to change. Like a good, for example, like say a Baker Mayfield. Now, right now, the demand for Baker Mayfield is high, but the supply is also high. He may become the next Dan Marino, but gradually over time, the demand's going to go down because people aren't going to be, searching for Baker Mayfield rookie cards. They're going to be searching for the next hot rookie, as his career progresses. And so the supply is always going to stay the same, and the demand is going to drop off. Now it might spike, towards the end of his career if he, starts breaking records, or if he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, he'll have spikes and stuff here and there. But gradually, the demand for his cards are gonna go down. Now with the 52 Mantle, we know what we get with Mantle, and we know what we get with the 52 Mantle. It's one of the most iconic cards in collecting. So the demand is always going to be higher than the supply on that one, and that's why it's worth so much money. Now, all of that being said, cards are a lot less predictable than commodities, actually, because you have no idea what's going to happen. A guy could pull a Kareem Hunt, and his whole career is probably in jeopardy. A prospect might fail, and so that you never know how they're going to turn out. They could be good players. They could be solid players and just not be the superstars that everybody thought they were going to be. A good example of that would be with my team, Byron Buxton. I mean, in 2017, he started off really poor, and then the second half, he had a great second half, won Gold Glove, won the Platinum Glove, and then comes out in 2018 and lays a turd, gets hurt, never gets back past minor leagues after he gets back from his injury. So you never know what's going to happen with these guys. I mean, Mike Trout might go out the first game of the season and have a career-ending injury. You can never tell what's going to happen with sports players. So that's why it's a little bit riskier. It's actually more like a lottery, especially if you're buying packs. If you're buying packs and boxes, it's really a lottery because not only do you not know what the players are going to do, you don't know what players you're going to pull out of the packs. And so it's more like pulling the arm on the slot machine. Timing is everything with this stuff. You just have to buy the cards at the right time. When guys are low but have high ceilings, buy them, If they hit that ceiling, then you can sell them high. If they don't hit that ceiling, then it's a smaller loss. I want to refer you to an Aaron Judge autograph that Blake pulled out of a baseball crate in July of 2017. It was a 2017 Topps Finest, non-numbered, not graded, and it sold on eBay the day after Aaron Judge won the Home Run Derby, and we sold it for $355. That was on July 12th of 2017, and I looked up some recent sales to give you an idea. The same card, the blue refractor version that is numbered out of 150, sold in September of 2018 for $155.50. That's a numbered, shorter print, sold for $200 less than what we sold ours for. The same card that we pulled with a BGS 9.5 grade and a 10 auto grade, sold in September of 2018 for $174.50. A green refractor autograph version, numbered to 99, with the BGS 9.5 and an auto grade of 10, sold for $196.50. That was in October of 18. A blue wave refractor, numbered to 20 out of 25, in a PSA 10 on October of 2018, sold for $333. So there you have it. The demand for Aaron Judge rookie cards and autographs went down, and the price of his cards, the value went down. So, and you think about all the autographs that Aaron Judge signs. Say he becomes the next Frank Thomas. Just as an example, Frank Thomas, when he was a rookie, there wasn't 60 products out there. He didn't sign autographs for every single product. Now, down the road, when Aaron Judge isn't in the news, isn't hot, isn't in demand, the amount of autographs that he signed is going to have an effect on their value. I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to find an Aaron Judge autograph than it is to find a Dave Winfield autograph. So you got to think about things like that, especially when investing in newer cards. Now, with older cards, it's different because you already know what you're going to get. You already know what that player's career is going to be. You already know, a lot more things than you do about the newer players. But anyways, I've yacked enough, so let's see what else B-Sides got on the topic.
And so while we're on this topic, the thing that just kind of came to me and I was thinking about is, a lot of guys, when they're trying to run the speculation and do some prospecting and that, which in a way can be considered a type of investing with cards as well. A lot of guys, will try and do it by buying cards of individual prospects. And, for me, I think a better strategy for doing that is rather than, buying cards of certain prospects, taking the time to invest in getting certain cards graded. So, the hope is that with those prospects catch fire, and become, hot commodities, you've got high-grade rookie cards available to put out there on the market and flip right then and start reaping some profits. And there is a way that can be successful, but I think that requires a little bit more luck and some knowledge than maybe you would expect to be able to pull off long term. And I think if I were going to try and go about it, rather than trying to pick certain players and prospects, I think I would rather try to pick the year overall and then decide, okay, is this a year that I'm going to invest in unopened material? And I would try and pick, some popular products, in say in baseball, the Topps Update is always kind of a big product for the rookie cards in that. And, maybe try and, anticipate what in the future might be some hot cards, if there's a certain insert set for rookies or something like that features, or, maybe like this year's Prism in football with, it really looks to be a pretty decent rookie class with lots of quarterbacks. There's like, 5 first-round quarterbacks, to try and say, hey, which one of these is going to pan out and which one's not. You kind of take the guesswork out of it, and you just buy, as some unopened product and just sit on it for a couple of years. And then no matter who from that, as long as some people from that class are desirable, and that card, and there's cards from that set that become, desirable to have, it doesn't matter who you have in your unopened material, because it becomes all about, well, who might be in there. And so I think that's an avenue that would work a little bit better, and I think it would lower some risk than going with the rip and submit and slab method to grading and prospecting and investing. Really, I think that model probably has, a little bit better sustainability, and really, long term, for the most part, unopened material tends to always sell for more than what comes out of it the vast majority of the time. And so I think that's the way I would try and go with it if I was going to try and be investment conscious in your more modern cards. But, and we've been going at this topic for quite a long time now, DA, and I don't know about you. I'm not sure we've even really scratched the surface of it. I'm thinking maybe we should solicit some questions from the guys watching, and we can try and turn around and just try and answer some questions that people might have in a future video, and see what other people's thoughts are. Maybe they've got some thoughts that they'd like to share, and we can give our thoughts and responses to those coming up. So, what do you think, man?
Well, you bring up some good points, and you touched upon grading. Now, grading is, to me, it's a big risk. I mean, if the card doesn't come back the grade that you think it's going to be, or the grade that you want, you're probably going to lose money on the deal. I mean, the crazy thing is with cards these days, the difference in price between a PSA 9 and a PSA 10 is just crazy. And so if your card comes back rated a 10, great, you're probably going to make money on it. But if it comes back a 9, you hope to break even. If it's less than a 9, you're probably going to lose money on it. For modern cards anyway. And so, yeah, there's a lot of risk involved in that. So it's a tough proposition. I liked what you said about unopened product. Because if you look at the prices of, like, say, an unopened box of, like, 1993 SP, where the Jeter rookie is in there, and the price that those cards go for is huge. Same thing with, like, 2011 Topps Update that has the Trout rookie in it. So if you're smart, I would say a good thing to do would be to go to Walmart right now and buy all the clearance 2017 products, especially your higher end, like Optic and Prism. That's my suggestion, man, and just save that stuff. And then once Mahomes, if he keeps going the way he's going, breaking records and stuff, down the road you're going to be able to sell that. Now, most of you guys are looking at me like, yeah, okay, I'm going to have unopened boxes of stuff sitting in my closet. I won't have any problem leaving that alone. But yeah, I definitely think that's a smart way to invest in newer cards, is to buy unopened product and sit on it. And sit on it for a long time. Like I said, you see the amount that unopened product with the hot rookies in it, with Jeter, Trout, and guys like that, goes for a lot of money. So that's definitely a way to go. That's probably one of your best bets, and so I'm glad you brought that up, B-Side. We definitely like to hear what other people have to say. If anybody else has any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, let us know. And I'll send it off to B-Side so he can get us out of here.
So some really good final comments there, DA. And hey, like you said, we want to hear from you guys. We can probably go on this topic for quite a bit longer. So we'd like to involve you guys in this conversation. Send us your comments, send us what you think, and we'll give you some more thoughts on this topic as we break it down a little bit more here in the next episode, probably sometime after the first of the year. So from both of us, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Double D's Card Talks. Take care, everyone.